Is the hockey world sleeping on the two best players in the world by making the Oilers just a slight favorite over the LA Kings? Or is the Kings defense way too good for an Oilers offense that depends way too heavily on McDavid and Draisaitl alone? Ryan Rishaug and I are going to make our cases. Then we invite you to join the conversation. Ryan, the Oilers have eliminated the Kings in 3 straight opening rounds in the last 3 seasons. Should Edmonton really be considered a slight favorite to beat the Kings again this year?
I'm okay with the idea of being a slight favorite, Gino. I think there are differences on these teams, but really a lot of the core remains the same. And so, when you consider that McDavid and Draisaitl are both reasonably rested and we think fairly healthy and ready to go, McDavid with 36 points through 3 playoff series in 18 games, Draisaitl with 17 goals and 30 points. Those guys are ready to go. I can understand those who feel like LA should be considered a favorite in this series. I think that's fair. I think you probably give them the edge in goaltending, definitely give them the edge in team defense. But I just think that McDavid and Draisaitl have done enough to power through whatever regular season statistics. You might have been able to favor the Kings in any of the last 3 years defensively. McDavid and Draisaitl have, between the two of them, just plowed through any statistical argument you want to make. And so it would seem that maybe the odds makers have that on their mind a little bit here, and hard to blame them for that, Gino.
Shocker. The goaltending's not even close. Since January 1st, Darcy Kuemper had the best save percentage of goals against in the entire league. Even better than Connor Hellebuyck, who's going to win the Vezina. Stuart Skinner is 15th of the 16 starters in these playoffs. Can the Oilers really overcome that enormous shortfall in net?
Well, bottom line, Stuart Skinner needs to be better in the playoffs than he's been during the regular season. I mean, that's just going to have to happen, right? Like, Skinner showed himself to be a goaltender that in a meaningful playoff series can outduel another excellent goaltender, right? Outplayed Jake Ottinger in the conference final last year, and that meant something. Helped his team battle back, and he was a big part of why they ended up going to a Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. So I think what we've seen, Gino, is a higher level from Stuart Skinner and an ability to learn from mistakes and elevate at playoff time. He's been far from perfect at playoffs. We saw him lose the net for a few games last year as well. But I think people need to keep in mind he's still somewhat of a developing goalie. He's going to make mistakes and push through them. He's shown himself to be a guy that can learn from them. But he wasn't good enough during the regular season this year. Didn't play a lot as the season came to a close. He was dealing with a concussion. So Stuart Skinner is going to have to be better in these playoffs than he was during the regular season for the Oilers to really have a chance to make this 4 in a row. If the goaltending matchup isn't even close, Gino, I'm not sure even McDavid and Draisaitl are going to be able to outscore the mistakes.
Okay, I understand the power for the Oilers up front. And we clearly given the edge in goaltending to the LA Kings. What about the blue line? Drew Doughty averaging over 24 minutes a game since he came back. He's 100%. He looks amazing. At this point, it looks like Mattias Ekholm is not even going to see a game in this series. Is there any way to overstate how much this is going to hurt the Oilers?
No. You and I could do 9 minutes on how much it's going to hurt the Oilers not to have Mattias Ekholm. If you want to start over again, we can just redo this whole hit on nothing but that. You can't overstate it. He's their best defenseman, their best two-way defenseman. He's an absolute horse. He makes them better on the penalty kill. He makes them better at even strength. He makes Evan Bouchard better. He's an emotional leader. He's a warrior for this group. You could make the argument, Gino, and maybe a hit for another day, that if you were to remove one player from the Oiler lineup, who would be the worst one to remove? You pull out Connor, you still got Leon. You pull out Leon, you still got Connor. You pull out Mattias Ekholm, and the next man up, no disrespect, there's a big drop-off here. So this is crushing for them. Defensively, the Kings have major advantage here. Their metrics all season long, expected goals against, run through it, their penalty kill is better. They have the major advantage when it comes to the defensive metrics, but they had a lot of that last year too, Gino, and in the end, it kind of didn't really matter a whole lot. So yes, it hurts them. For sure. But again, throw McDavid and Draisaitl at the problem and see what happens. I think that's what a lot of people are probably assuming will be a solution for the Oilers. Just chuck 97 and 29 at the problem.
I understand that. But now, final time. Let's put the scales in. You got Draisaitl and McDavid. providing all the offense for the Oilers, providing their best hope overall, versus everything else, the balance that the LA Kings have and the damage that could cause. Do you really think those two could overcome the odds, despite the fact that, the bettors are making the Oilers slight favorites?
Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time, betting against what McDavid and Draisaitl might be able to do, especially in this matchup, because they've owned this team for multiple years in a row here. So I personally have a bit of a tough time, picking the Kings to win this series. I think this is as tough as the Kings have been, as tough a matchup for the Oilers in any of these series. I think that, Drew Doughty in, Matthias Ekholm out, that hurts. Evander Kane not available till a little bit later in the series, it sounds like. Trent Frederick, we'll see where they land with him, but that's some size and physicality that the Oilers are going to be lacking in their lineup. At the same time, the Kings are going to be relying on some players to up their game come playoff time. I'm thinking about Kevin Fiala, who had 35 goals during the regular season. Is such a good offensive player during the regular season, has struggled to produce against the Oilers in the postseason. Quentin Byfield, an amazing year, finally can play down the middle. How will he match up against the big guys? Well, can you rely on him to have a breakout series against McDavid or Draisaitl or Nugent Hopkins, depending on who he's out there against? So the Kings have good secondary scoring, but is it going to be enough to overcome the sheer power of what McDavid and Draisaitl have shown that they can do? I get it, Gino. This is a tight one. It's as tight as it's ever been between these two teams. But again, with 97 and 29 rested and ready to go, Connor McDavid laser focused, big time. I'd have a hard time betting against them, but we will see. Jason Strudwick picked the Kings, and the whole city is just still reverberating from a former Oiler picking the Kings. So we'll see. Struddy knows his stuff.
All right, you've heard what Ryan and I have had to say about the series. In case you missed it, hockey analyst extraordinaire Charles Barkley not only picked the Oil to beat the Kings, he picked the Oil to win the Cup. Now here's your invitation to join the conversation. What do you think of what we've had to say? Are the Oilers really slight favorites over the LA Kings? Make your case. Let us know what you think.